Hey everyone, it's Nathan. Welcome to my channel. I talk all things movies, whether that be the Criterion Collection, Disney movies, and I also help you file your taxes. So if you're interested in any of those things, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. So I am super excited about this video today. If you weren't aware, at the end of May, I released a video called You Choose Which Movies I Watch in June. Basically, I asked you guys to comment your movie suggestions, and then from there on my Instagram page, I posted polls of movie fights, basically. So I posted 2 movies that you guys suggested, and then I let you guys choose which one would win out of those 2 movies. This was an awesome experience, and it turned out far better than I thought it could have. I was expecting maybe 50 movie recommendations max, and I ended up getting over 200 movie recommendations. So big thank you to you guys for recommending movies to me and giving me something to watch, and then going the extra step of following me on my Instagram page and then voting for the movies that you wanted me to see. It was a blast to do, and originally I said I was going to be watching 10 movies. I had so much fun doing this that I ended up watching 15 movies. And if you think about it, I've only seen 15 movies out of the 200 movies you guys recommended to me. And so there are still a lot more movies I need to check out. I think one of the coolest things about this video was, for one, obviously it involved you guys, so you guys got to choose what movies I watched, but also these were all first-time watches. There wasn't one movie I watched out of these recommendations that I had seen before, and I purposely made sure of that. And so it was just so fun seeing 15 brand new movies. And for the most part, I liked all of them. So before I get started ranking these, the way this is going to work is I will rank the movies from worst to best, and when I talk about each movie, I will also say what movie it went up against in the Instagram battles. So whatever movies went up against each other in the Instagram battles, those were both movies that you guys recommended, but you guys had the final say of which ones I watched. But I need to throw out a quick disclaimer. Please don't be offended if either your movie didn't make the list or if it's low on the list. Honestly, guys, 14 out of the 15 movies I watched, I enjoyed. There really was only one movie that I just did not like. So even number 14 is like a good movie in my eyes. And it's kind of your guys' fault. You recommended a lot of good movies. So you voted for 12 movies for me to watch, and then I added in 3 movies that were recommended by you guys, but I didn't put them on the Instagram battles. The reason being was it was the John Wick trilogy, and so I didn't really see a purpose of having it be a battle, because let's say the first movie wins in the battle, third movie wins in the battle, but the second one doesn't. That means I don't see the second movie. And so I just took the liberty of watching the John Wick trilogy for the first time. If you want to know all the movies I watched for the first time, it's in the description below. However, it's not ranked. So let's rank them all, starting with number 15. And number 15 goes to AI, artificial intelligence. So this one was going up against Searching for Bobby Fischer. And honestly, I just did not like this movie. And Steven Spielberg is one of my all-time favorite directors. Who doesn't like Steven Spielberg? But it was just so strange and honestly, like, dumb. It was just silly. It's sad when your favorite character in a movie is a teddy bear. He has this like smart toy and it's a teddy bear, and that was my favorite character. But I just thought the movie was so ridiculous. Really did not enjoy it. And again, this isn't anything against the ones who recommended it, but it's just my opinion. This is really the only one that I did not enjoy, but I'm glad I've seen it, because I mean, I was gonna watch it eventually. I have a goal to see all of Spielberg's filmography, and so it was gonna happen eventually. And so if anything, you guys are helping me out. Number 14 goes to Tropic Thunder, which went up against Anchorman in the Instagram battles. Both Tropic Thunder and Anchorman are 2 comedies that have been on my watch list for a long time, so I thought it would be fitting to have them go up against each other. Tropic Thunder obviously ended up winning, and I enjoyed this movie. I don't think I liked it as much as I thought I was going to like it. Unpopular opinion, Jack Black was actually my favorite character in this movie. I think a lot of people kind of gravitate towards RDJ right away or Ben Stiller, but I really like Jack Black's character. But with that being said, I really liked all the characters. It was a funny movie, just not as funny as I was expecting it to be. Number 13 goes to John Wick, and as I mentioned earlier, this didn't go up against any other movie. I just threw it in the pile, and John Wick ranks at number 13 because it wasn't a movie I disliked. I just liked the 12 other movies more. Everyone in this movie is absolutely insane. Yeah. Number 12 actually goes to John Wick 2. I liked John Wick 2 more than John Wick. However, it felt a lot like John Wick. The movies are fun. They're fun movies to watch, but they're just like so silly, and not necessarily in a bad way, but they're just so over the top, and I enjoy that, but at the same time, like, I don't love it. It just kind of blends in with the first one. They kind of felt the same to me. At number 11, I have Princess Mononoke, which is the last movie I watched for this video, actually. In fact, I literally finished it today. So Princess Mononoke beat A Silent Voice. This movie is absolutely brutal. Like, seriously, this is like probably the most violent anime. No, this is the most violent animated movie in general that I've ever seen. But I can't deny that it has stunning animation. I especially love the animation for the animals, especially the wolves. For some reason, really like the way the wolves looked. Honestly, it's just a very weird movie. I can recognize it as like an amazing movie, but it's not very rewatchable to me. I don't know when I'll watch this again, if I'll watch it again. I didn't dislike it. Just didn't love it. Number 10 goes to Miracle, which beat Bedknobs and Broomsticks. See what I did there? 2 Disney live action movies? Yeah. So Miracle was good. I just thought it was a little too long, and my biggest con with this movie was that I wasn't emotionally invested with the characters like I am in a lot of other sports movies. And also, I didn't really love Kurt Russell's character as the coach. And I know it's based on a true story, and so they're probably respecting the true story. He just came off as kind of a jerk to me. And I know that what he was doing was all like team building activities and whatnot. I didn't always like him. Is that a dumb complaint? Maybe it is. I don't know. And then also, like, a lot of the hockey team members look the exact same. And so I mixed up who was who. It just kind of got confusing after a while. But the final game, or like the semifinal game, I guess, the game where they play the Russians, I really enjoyed watching that. It was suspenseful, the tension was high, and it was enjoyable to watch. That's why I like sports movies. Those games where, you know, they're nail biters. I love those kind of games. Good movie. However, I definitely prefer Remember the Titans above it. And the reason I'm comparing the two is because they're both early 2000 Disney movies. So, I mean, might as well compare them. And plus they like play the same sport and all that. Number 9, I have John Wick 3 Parabellum, I think it's called. So the reason that this one ranks above the other two is I think that this one definitely has the best story to it. I've mentioned countless times on this channel that I love it in a movie when a character is in a spot where they're just on the run. It's the reason I love Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. It's also the reason I really like Infinity War, because it's kind of like that feeling of we're on the run, we're in trouble, we're being hunted. I love that feeling in a movie. It makes the movies so much more eerie and enjoyable to watch. And that's exactly how John Wick 3 is, because he is officially in excommunicado or whatever they call it. And so everyone in their little agency is after him. It made for a crazy movie, and you get to see John Wick do what he does best. The trilogy overall is enjoyable. If I were to choose a action trilogy right off the bat, then I would choose Jason Bourne. Next up, I have The Discrete Charm of the Bourgeoisie. And that movie beat out a movie called The Last of Sheila. Both were movies I had never heard of, but they came highly recommended by viewers of my channel, and so thank you for recommending them. So this movie is honestly a pretty funny movie. It belongs in the Criterion collection, so it always feels good to be watching a Criterion film. And it definitely has that Criterion feel to it. Like as I'm watching it, I can just tell it's a Criterion movie. You can just tell sometimes. The movie follows a group of upper class friends who constantly are trying to just have a meal together, but for some reason it's always interrupted. And the movie takes turns I was not expecting, and I'm not gonna lie, there's even a little bit of some Inception vibes to this movie, which that's really what I wasn't expecting. But overall, I actually enjoyed this movie. At number 7, I have Shaun of the Dead, which beat out Zombieland. It was a fun watch. It was a very funny movie, and it is very Edgar Wright-esque. I haven't seen too many Edgar Wright films. In fact, I've only seen Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver. So Shaun of the Dead felt a lot like Scott Pilgrim to me, just with those fast-paced cuts and then the sense of humor that is in the movie. Every Edgar Wright movie kind of feels the same to me, kind of like a Wes Anderson movie. They just all feel similar to me. And I like his style of filmmaking. It's not my favorite. It's like an entertaining style of filmmaking. So that's exactly what Shaun of the Dead was. It was an entertaining movie. I laughed at parts, but for the most part, you know, it's a fine movie. I liked it. I mean, it made the top 10, guys. Come on, be happy. I don't even know why I'm getting mad at you guys. I can't even hear what you're saying. I'm talking to a camera. And then number 6 goes to Unforgiven, which beat Once Upon a Time in the West. Really, all I knew about this movie was that it was a Western and that it won Best Picture. When you're introduced to Clint Eastwood's character, he's definitely not a traditional Clint Eastwood character that you're used to seeing in his movies. And when I say that, I just mean like a bad A person who has those great one-liners. He's definitely not that character in this movie. However, as the film progresses, I feel like it felt more and more like a Clint Eastwood film. And I don't want to spoil it or anything, but that's all I'll say. And it ended up being one of my favorite watches of the month. Number 5 goes to High and Low, which beat the film Sorcerer. This was an interesting battle because I was interested in seeing Sorcerer because it's the remake of Wages of Fear, which I love that film. But then High and Low is directed by Akira Kurosawa, and I'm always down to see more of his films. So it was really kind of like a toss-up. I was interested in both of these movies, and I'm glad both of them were recommended. But High and Low ended up winning. High and Low is an interesting movie. So it follows a man who works for a shoe company, and his chauffeur's son is kidnapped. And he gets this call saying that his son's been kidnapped, and the only way that the kidnapper will release his son is if he pays the ransom money of $30 million. Obviously, $30 million is a hefty amount of money, so it's very hard to make the decision of paying the ransom or not. And there are a bunch of other factors that go into making the decision. I don't want to go into them too much because I don't want to spoil the movie. However, I will say this was definitely one of those movies where it feels like two movies in one, where the first half of the movie was all about the kidnapping, and then the second half of the movie was just getting like further information on the kidnapping. And so I'm really trying not to spoil any of these movies. And so that's all I'll say. Because it felt like two movies in one, I'm not going to lie, the pacing at times felt a little slow. However, I still enjoyed it, and I appreciated a lot of the camera shots too. So I'm glad I watched it, and it made the top 5, so that's pretty cool. Number 4 goes to No Country for Old Men, which beat Birdman. Both of these are Best Picture winners, and that's kind of what I was going for. This is a movie that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and so I'm glad I finally got to watch it. Man, this movie was way more suspenseful than I was expecting. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew that Javier Bardem's, I think his name is, his performance was really good in it. He even won the Oscar. It had very similar vibes to Hell or High Water to me, and for some reason I also got 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri vibes. Don't know why I had those vibes, but I did. But back to the suspense, there were just several scenes in this movie where my heart was pounding to find out what happens next. Any scene that Javier was in, he completely took over. Like, all my attention was invested in the movie. Oh, well, voice crack. Hello. All my attention was invested in the movie whenever he was on the camera, and I loved his performance so much. Number 3 goes to The Passion of Joan of Arc, and this movie beat out Safety Last. This one was a very close race. Like, honestly, neck and neck. There was a moment where Safety Last was winning, and then I kind of like came to the conclusion, all right, I'll be watching Safety Last. And then in the last hour or two, maybe, Joan of Arc got 3 or 4 more votes and it ended up beating Safety Last. And so I ended up watching The Passion of Joan of Arc. I enjoyed The Passion of Joan of Arc a lot, and I'm glad I finally seen it. I've seen iconic shots of this film, like the haunting camera angles of Joan's face and her tear-stained face, and I know about like the haunting scenes from this movie. And so to finally watch the movie all the way through was very satisfying, and it was everything I expected it to be. Just a very haunting movie with an amazing performance as well. And yeah, this movie's super sad too. However, I would highly recommend you watch it because it's a classic. Number 2 goes to The Great Dictator, which beat out Young Frankenstein. Charlie Chaplin humor is kind of hit and miss with me. Some of the humor that he has I think is so funny, but then other humor he has is just kind of annoying to me. And what I'm talking about is the jokes he does where they don't end. Like, they're very inevitable, you know they're gonna happen, and then they just keep happening. And what I kind of mean is there's a scene in this movie where the dictator, Charlie Chaplin, he visits the train station to pick up a dictator of another country, I believe, and they set up a red carpet for him to walk out on and everything, but the train passes the red carpet. So they pick up the red carpet and they go over to put it there, but then the train goes back. So they go back, put the red carpet down, but then the train goes back. And it just keeps happening. And it's something that like I don't find funny because I know it's going to happen. I already know it's going to happen, so it's not amusing to me. It's just annoying. I'm just like, okay, move on. Come on. I don't want to see this. Besides that, I really enjoyed this movie, especially the very last speech given by the barber, the Jewish barber, also played by Charlie Chaplin. It was amazing. It was absolutely beautiful, and it's a speech that applies to today just as much as it did back in the day, which is even cooler to me. So if you haven't seen The Great Dictator, I highly recommend it. And number 1 goes to Little Miss Sunshine, which beat out My Girl. I think the reason this one gets number 1 for me is it's just such a feel-good movie. It's filled with funny and emotional parts. There are a lot of hilarious scenes as well. And plus it's filled with an all-star cast. Like, everyone in this movie has gone on to do great things or has already had a career before this movie. That's actually more so the case. But still, it's a great movie that came out mid-2000s and nominated for Best Picture and everything, got an Oscar nomination for Abigail Breslin, and Alan Arkin won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. So big movie, very feel-good movie. I just love the whole concept, and I was so happy while watching it, and I laughed at several scenes. It's just a very enjoyable movie, and I'm excited to see it again. I'm going to be showing my family this movie when I get home this summer from college, and so I'm really excited to show them that. Those are the movies you guys recommended to me. Thank you for voting on Instagram and for making this possible. I really want to do this again because I loved it. I'm not going to do it in July because I have a pretty busy schedule in July, and this does take commitment. However, I would like to do it in August, and so just be on the lookout. I'll probably be making an announcement as we get closer to August. And if you guys still have time, make sure to check out any other videos on my channel. Whether you're into Criterions or Disney, I've got all the things related to movies, really. So check out a video and get comfortable. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. The Discrete Charm of the Bourgeoisie.
Here's what I found.
How do you pronounce Bourgeoisie?
I found this on the web.
Bourgeoisie. Next up, I watched The Discrete Charm of Bourgeoisie. Next up, I watched The Discrete. At number 8, I have The Discrete Charm of the Bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie.